So when I saw this, for example, do I say then that was from Michael Morwood?
No, I am going to throw that in.
Okay, so I should just say that's from Michael Morwood, and then I'll just continue. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I like the idea that you've heard us. I'm going to give you credit for that.
Okay.
Jealous lighting, I guess.
Okay, I'm mentioning us.
No, you're not supposed to move them. They'll pick you up. They'll pick you up. Don't move them.
There are so many people. I mean, I see this, but there's so many people who tell me that
Talk into this one. It'll be talk into that one. Yeah.
also said they can't see me. Now all I can see them. I'm sure that they can see me. So I'm not sure.
No, it's not printed out here. It just says you. Yeah.
Test. 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 Jeff, can you hear that? Jeff Somerville, can you hear that?
Please rise in body or spirit to sing our hymn of the month, which is number 53, I Walk the Unfrequented Road, and the words will be on your screen. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. My name is Catherine Hyde. I am the Sunday Service Associate this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we agree to keep each other company, supporting one another on the journey of life. We ask questions about what our lives mean, and we try to become the very best version of ourselves we can. Each of us answers the big questions in our own way, and we are okay with that here. We don't force each other, but let each other think for ourselves. We share a belief in care and commitment that can heal and transform, and a belief in our interconnection and interdependence. We intend to be inclusive, welcoming all people, every age, race, class, gender, sexual orientation, and theology. If you want to know more about us, who we are, and what we do, please sign a green sheet in the foyer in Anderson or fill out the form online that's being dropped into the chat. There will be coffee hour after the service today down the hall to my left and on Zoom. Please stay and interact. As we begin, please silence any devices that might interrupt our time together. The following words are adapted from Pat Uribe Lichty. You can find her work, their work, on uua.org. Today, we face challenges to democracy, a challenge that requires us to hope in moments of despair, a challenge that calls us to claim our power to act united in the conviction that we can make a difference. As we light our chalice this morning, we recommit ourselves to truth, love, and action. Please join in the words for lighting the chalice found on the screen. We light this chalice for the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circle of community. In some traditions, this space where we gather is called a sanctuary. It's a holy place of safety where we can get away from the noisy demands of the claims on our time and attention. For us, it is a base where we practice tranquility and peace so that we can return to the world equipped to make a difference. Here we center ourselves in the breath and in attentive silence. The sound of the bell calls us home to our true self. Listen and be present.
This morning, I'm switching up the music just a little bit. As I'm sure all you are, I've been very disturbed and very disheartened about world events in the last couple weeks. So rather than play the lighthearted Bach, I'd like to offer a very beautiful bucolic piece by Sergei Rachmaninoff. This is the musical moment in B minor.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning. Throughout human history, men and women in all corners of the planet, both religious and non-religious, have had insights into the wonder of what it is to be human. Typically, this is a life-changing experience for them, often called enlightenment. It refers to a profound inner awareness, insight, and revelation of a power, a presence within and among us that binds everyone and everything, an awesome reality beyond our imagination. This is from Michael Morwood. In today's service, we are pointing to that power within and among us that enables us to be and do more than we ordinarily imagine. When we open our eyes to our power, it is like waking up to a new reality. On this day, as we join Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice in celebrating Power Sunday, we know we face challenges as individuals and families, congregations and neighborhoods, and even as a whole country that can feel so big, it seems we'll never find a way through them. And yet people have, again and again, found a way through massive challenges, sometimes by making a way when there was no way, not by bullying one another, not through coercing one another, but by staying engaged, staying in conversation, by refusing to stay quiet when we see injustice, by collecting the power we each have and leveraging that collective power in the service of our faith and values. Just like singing with hundreds of people or taking to the streets with thousands of other people showing up for justice, taking action with a lot of other people is powerful. And after today's service, every one of us will be given an opportunity to take action in the service of our faith and values. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Into grace and free from fear. Good morning. My name is Kirsten Hughes, and I am the Secretary of the Board for the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. Here are today's announcements. Following the service today, the social justice team will have a table in the fellowship room with information on a number of issues, including the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and reproductive health rights in New Jersey. Please be sure to visit the table. Next Sunday, our service will be led by our sabbatical minister, Reverend Jennifer Brower. We look forward to having her with us again. Also next Sunday, our 5th through 7th graders in RE have created a Halloween celebration for grades kindergarten through grade 3. Kids are encouraged to come in costume. Finally, next Sunday at 4 p.m., Hiroya Tsukamoto, a gifted fingerstyle guitarist, composer, and storyteller, will present a Society Cafe concert. USR's vision statement includes this aspiration. The Unitarian Society of Ridgewood will be visible in the larger community as a voice of Unitarian Universalist principles and purposes. We stand boldly in the forefront of the struggle for justice and peace, actively addressing needs in our local community and beyond. This is why we are here today, observing Power Sunday, and it's why the board has voted to receive 2 offerings. Our first regular offering will be divided 50-50 between USR and the New Jersey Abortion Access Fund. NJAAF provides grants to help cover the cost of abortion, emergency contraception, and other related expenses for New Jersey residents and those who come to New Jersey due to restrictions in their home states. And our second special offering will be donated to Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice, the Washing Advocacy Office of the UUA. Our first offering will be placed in the regular plates, and the second one will go into the special shoe boxes that follow. If you want to use a check, please indicate UUSJ in the memo line. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Hi, my name is Pablo de Jesus, and I'm the Executive Director of Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice. And I want to thank you for joining us on Power Sunday. It's important that Unitarian Universalists step into our power, gather our power, leverage our power. It's important that we engage our federal decision makers. And you can do that with Unitarian Universalists for Social Justice. I invite you to make donations to us at www.uusj.org. And if your congregation wants to send a check, which we will deeply appreciate, you can do so at our address on that same webpage. Now is the moment for Unitarian Universalists to gather together and build a movement to lift our values and voices on Capitol Hill. It's the best way that we can have systemic change influence. So I invite you to join UUSJ, explore our webpage, and make a donation if you can. Thank you.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I stand my ground. No, I won't back down. Won't be turned around, and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. No, I won't back down. Yes, I'll stand my ground. I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way just one life. And in a world that's trying to push me around, I will stand my ground. No, I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I'm gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. No, I won't back down. No, I won't back down.
The lives that brought us to this moment have been filled with joy and sorrow. In this moment together, we bring all of that, memories, old ones and ones freshly pressed into our beings. We come as whole and complex beings, and we honor that together. This is the time in the service when we invite you to write into the chat on Zoom any joys or sorrows you would like to share with the community. And here in Anderson, if you have filled out your sheet, please bring it up. Anybody else? So Miguel shares with us today that Elf the musical rehearsals are going well with Margaret and Gus. He overcame fears and anxieties and went to a job fair at Bergen County on Friday. Awesome. And a sorrow that he shares is that his cousin said she's having symptoms of a major mental illness. And a friend near New Brunswick has a very hard home life, and we hold them in our hearts, Miguel. Are there any online, Jack? Nope, okay. Oh. And Ron shares that yesterday, Elliot and he celebrated their 26th anniversary. Nice. Congratulations. And now Miguel is going to come up and lead us in our meditation.
Meditation prayer. Mindful of the joys and sorrows shared, and of those we hold in the quiet of our hearts, we come together for our time of meditation. Take a moment to settle into your seat. Find as comfortable a position as you can for your body, and breathe. We gather together from many places. We breathe together in a literal conspiracy, not to believe things that are untrue, but finding in our shared breathing that we are stronger together and can accomplish so much more in our shared power. Into this beautiful place and hallowed time, we bring hearts grateful for life's blessings and broken for life's suffering. We are grateful for this new day, for love and beauty, comfort and kinship, for the way new life springs out of old, the possible out of the seemingly impossible. We hold in our hearts leaders in every nation who are struggling to respond to all manner of crises, people displaced by war, climate crisis, and political repression. All those upon whose backs national policies fall. We call for mercy and compassion, to be in and with and among leaders of all kinds, for them to be filled with the courage that strengthens us, all to do the right thing. Even when it's hard or politically unpopular, we lift up one another today, and we lift up our very own hearts. For in this life, it is so easy to miss the mark, to behave in ways that don't reflect who we are at our best. Let us breathe in the care and support present here today. To find comfort amid our sorrows and fears. Let us let go of our egos and be able to say sorry, to make amends and forgive when the time is right. Let this congregation, the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood, imperfect as we may be, reassure us that we are loved just as we are, and loved too much to want us to stay that way. And when it seems like nothing will ever get better, or the world is about to end, may the power we find in committing ourselves to something greater than ourselves embolden us to believe that something new is just beginning.
This morning's reading is a video of The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
This morning's sermon is by Reverend Peggy Clark, Senior Minister at the Community Church of New York, Board Chair of Unitarian Universalist for Social Justice, our UU Washington office, and co-host with Reverend Sarah Lindsay of the podcast Hope and Hearsay. The title is Power Sunday, Leveraging Our Collective.
I'm Reverend Peggy Clark, Senior Minister at Community Church of New York in Midtown Manhattan and the Board Chair for UUs for Social Justice. TikTok might say men think about the Roman Empire daily, but it's the American Empire that has my attention. Mirroring the innocence of the mid and late 20th century, I grew up believing the United States is the best nation that has ever existed. That opinion came from my white immigrant family, grateful largely for the opportunity and freedom of economic prosperity. But over time, our democracy has begun to fade, and whether or not children are told this is the best nation in the history of nations doesn't alter our current downward trajectory. As much as we like to say we've been a democracy since 1776, or maybe from the ratification of the Constitution in 1788, we've mostly been a democracy in process until the full realization of our potential with the passing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. With the codification of inclusion at the ballot booth, the United States of America became worthy of the admiration of democracies, both realized and struggling around the world. Our system of government, standing on a strong foundation of law, had the full support of our nation's people and our institutions, creating what we thought was an unbreakable network, ensuring equal access to our founding promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But as we approach the 60th anniversary of that peak moment, most Americans are aware that our democracy is on a downward slide. There are many key markers that support this suspicion, including our decline on the Polity Index that moved us below the threshold of full democracy in recent history. President Joe Biden warned us just a few weeks ago that democracy is at risk, that the threat to our institutions and our Constitution is serious, noting extremism and increasingly disturbing threats of violence on our leaders. And of course, we don't need our scholars or even our president to tell us, but we can see and hear for ourselves, right? The words chaos and dysfunction and infighting have become common in our national headlines as our government grinds to a halt over and over again. Strong, healthy democracies require what we call civil society. Civil society consists of all the voluntary organizations where people gather, autonomous from the state. These groups might have some state support, funding, interaction, but they're independent of state controls. They have their own agendas and goals. They're concerned with public ends, but they aren't seeking state power. They exist for many reasons, but one is to influence law, culture, and the ways we live together. They're part of a larger piece of community living, valuing pluralism, inclusion, and a wide range of life experience and thought. The organizations that populate civil society include educators who advocate for curriculum development to train the next generation of leaders and thinkers, and climate activists who push against corporate influence, and librarians who ensure access to a diversity of ideas, and workers who leverage their collective power to ensure fair wages and protections. Civil society includes museums that preserve our history, and dance companies that celebrate self-expression, and community theaters where new philosophies are given language and an audience. Cults, not part of civil society. They want to separate people from the mainstream, and yoga groups generally don't qualify because they don't have an interest in influencing public life. Churches, on the other hand, do. So do all of our UU organizations like Ministry for Earth and our state action networks and UUSJ, our UU Voice on the Hill. All of these institutions are part of the fabric of civil society, without which we don't have an authentic democracy. Scholars tell us that democracies don't collapse because of a single influential person. They collapse because the people who should know better align themselves with stronger, more dangerous personalities. They themselves aren't fascists, communist, extremists. They're just too weakly committed to democracy and are ultimately opportunists who say what they think they need to say to get or keep power. Civil society is one of the key levers to keep those people in check. Groups that are themselves run democratically, giving everyone the experience of having a voice and a vote, with deep membership rosters of concerned and engaged citizens or public forums for open discussion, become a counterbalance to self-serving individuals. These organizations create occasions for influence and can reward opportunists with the popularity or power they seek without requiring them to compromise their commitment to democratic systems. They can also create and engage systems of social accountability that keep some of these people in check. Totalitarian nations have no civil society. The more civil society in a country, the more democratic it can be. There are very few fully totalitarian nations, but we can see these systems of government increase as civil society decreases. North Korea is completely totalitarian with no visible counter to the current government. China used to be more complete, but civil society has been growing there. When nations like Russia want to increase government control, they shut down parts of civil society, as does every autocrat seeking to consolidate his or her power. Voluntary organizations are a crucial part of any healthy, transparent, and legitimate democratic system. We can determine the vitality of a democracy by the integration of these groups in the fabric of the nation. Faith-based organizations are historically some of the most difficult to terminate because they often are seen as the moral centers of a community. Shutting them down forces the government to admit a lack of concern with morality, an act most citizens find alarming. Instead, many authoritarian regimes work to befriend religious institutions, seeking to align religious power centers with their own. We can see this happening here in the United States with evangelical churches who've become supporters of some of the more dangerous factions in our current system. This makes our own position as a liberal religious denomination all the more necessary in our current political climate. We continue to have the moral authority to counter the current trajectory and can stand against the wave of conservative religious alignment with the radical right-wing political movement. Our existence, our internal health and strength is an essential part of what can turn the tide of American democratic legitimacy. It is our witness to pluralism and embrace of science as a source of truth, our own democratic structures, our collective voice for choice, for education, for inclusion, and our training of a new leadership class that demonstrates the need for our witness as the centrality of our voice as part of civil society right now at this moment in history. Sadly, this comes at the same time religion is on a steep decline in American culture. Right across the country, Unitarian Universalist churches have seen a dramatic reduction in membership. We've lost 18,000 children from our RE programs in the last 10 years. We've lost 100,000 members over the last 50. In 2020, the average size of a UU congregation was half the size as 20 years earlier. We're not alone in the free fall, and as liberal religion declines in national influence, so does American democracy. I don't think these things are unrelated. Just as people are turning away from institutional religion, the demons of authoritarianism are gaining ground. When the moral centers lose influence and can no longer claim to be our collective conscience, it's easier for alternatives to take root. Our voices get weaker and are harder to hear. But let's not pretend we are inaudible. There are close to 200,000 people in UU churches. We have not given up our space at the table, nor our moral authority, even if the tide of totalitarianism hopes to wash over us. This is evidenced at the very least by your decision to bring the service to your congregation today, as so many other UU congregations are doing. We are interdependent, interconnected, and committed to holding up our shared religious values. Power Sunday comes from UUs for Social Justice. So UUSJ was founded originally by a circle of UU churches in the Washington, D.C. area who wanted to leverage their geographic location to influence the federal conversation. About 2 years ago, UUSJ broke out of that model and opened to UUs around the country to become our collective voice, not just those positioned so closely to DC power centers. UUSJ is a small organization with no full-time staff like so many of our UU groups doing the work of our faith, but with the help of their executive director, they've had an outsized influence in federal policy conversations. This worship service is designed to get the word out about both our UU potential as a faith community through the work of UUSJ in these national discussions, and to hold up one of our own institutions, also part of civil society, in need of support in these fragile days of our democracy. In future years, Power Sunday will include an opportunity for advocacy so we as UUs can leverage our collective power. Scholars tell us that American democracy is deconsolidating, but it is far from collapse. Even through significant challenges, the system is holding. With the kickoff of Power Sunday, UU congregations can step into our moral authority in partnership with each other and other liberal religious members of civil society to hold strong against the tide of authoritarianism. Through our connection with UUSJ, the building of our collective power on the Hill, and as a partner with other denominations also holding back the waters of authoritarianism, Unitarian Universalists play a key role in keeping our democracy strong. Today, in UU churches around the country, we are raising our shared consciousness, holding up our critical place in the democratic fabric of our nation, tuning our collective voice, and reminding Unitarian Universalists that we are necessary, that we are not alone, and that in this fragile moment of American history, we are powerful.
Our closing hymn today is number 169, We Shall Overcome. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing together.
Please remain standing and join in the words for extinguishing our chalice. They'll be on the screen. We extinguish the flame, but may the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action burn bright in our hearts until we are together again.
Our benediction words are by Andrea Hawkins Camper. May we see all as it is, and may it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. For if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the graces of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge, to be the living embodiment of our principles, to be about the work of building the beloved community, to be the people of intention and people of conscience. So may it be.
Probably good luck or something.